You are listening to the Julie Parker Practice Success Podcast, where you discover management insights and strategies for your successful dental practice. There are also interviews with key people in the industry who have advice and services to help you and your team achieve great success. Welcome to this episode of the Julie Parker Practice Success Podcast. And we're talking today about goals because I have a fantastic workshop coming up on the 10th of December that I want to tell you about that can really make sure that 2023 is a magnificently powerful year for you. So my experience with goals, and I don't know if this has been the case with many people out there, I fear it might be, that you've had so much history of developing goals for yourself, and then a few weeks or months later you remember, oh, that's right, I set myself a few goals, and you did absolutely nothing about it. And the problem with not challenging that space for ourselves is that we can start to identify ourselves, sometimes it's consciously, sometimes it's a little bit subconsciously, that we're just not the type to set goals and then follow through and try to achieve them. We're the type that set goals flippantly and then go on with life as normal. However, we are all exactly the same. All of us human beings that are on this earth, those that set goals and don't achieve them, those that set goals and don't even follow any kind of plan and don't achieve them, and those that set goals and they do create a plan and they do commit to the plan, they take all of the actions required and then they achieve their goals. We're actually all in the same basket. We have exactly the same capabilities. We have exactly the same conscious awareness around what it takes to achieve goals. The difference is taking that action, taking all the necessary action in order to achieve the goals. Some people do it and some people don't. And I think some of this does come back down to our identity. We continue to default back to the way we've always determined ourselves to be. And I was listening to something by Tony Robbins just yesterday that kind of made sense to me. He said, he was talking about identity and how we have our own identity, and our identity, of course, is made up of the way we consciously think about ourselves, but also many of our beliefs that we developed when we were very little children, and so it can be a bit of a subconscious space for us as well. But we think of ourselves in a certain way. We have a particular identity, and it is a very big ask to behave in a way that is not in accordance with that identity. In fact, that is in accordance to a stronger, better, more successful, more happy, more powerful identity. We just don't do it. And he gave the analogy of it's like a thermostat. It's like our potential is a thermostat, and we set it to a certain setting, and we cannot achieve beyond that unless we set that thermostat setting higher. And this really spoke to me because of the fact this workshop around goals, I did it last year. It was tremendously successful and the people involved gained a lot of value from it, which I was thrilled about. And what I do during these workshops, I establish my own series of goals within these workshops as well. So I kind of go on the journey with you and with the participants. But my head has been so much around it at the moment. So when I listened to that a thing around identity with Tony Robbins, it really did speak to me. And it helped me to identify why it is so important to set goals for ourselves. It is very easy, as we know, just to continue on being the wonderful people that we are, having the wonderful contribution and the beautiful intentions that we have. And we move from day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. And we say, gosh, hasn't time flown? And we can very easily fall into the trap of just being in that Groundhog Day space year upon year, even though in the downtime where we get to contemplate what we want out of life and what we want to achieve in our world, We know that we are capable of more than the right now. For sure, we're all capable of more than we've achieved right now because we're all capable of growth and development. But it is very comfortable for sure to remain in the here and now and just to continue on life in that Groundhog Day space. And I'm not saying that that's not enjoyable. It is enjoyable. We get a great sense of happiness and success from maintaining our current path. But I think the goal setting process, and certainly then the knock-on effect of the planning for goal setting, providing ourselves with the needed support for goals achievement, and then actually achieving some part or all part of those goals. I think that is just so important because it allows us to put a bit of a line in the sand and say, the next period of time is going to be different. I'm setting the thermostat up a little notch for the next coming period of time, whether it be a quarter or a year or 5 years or 10 years. And coming back to some of the work by Tony Robbins, years ago I read that he says that progress leads to happiness. And it really does seem to ring true. We are very happy when we feel like that we're progressing. If we're kind of just treading water, especially if we're sitting in a bit of discomfort, maybe our relationships aren't working that well, or maybe our working career isn't working that well, or maybe we're unhappy with our level of fitness or the way our appearance is. And when we feel a bit stuck in our world, we do tend to feel a bit unhappy about that. But when we feel like that we are making strides, that we are progressing in some way towards a better whatever, that leads to happiness. And indeed, Daniel Pink, in his book Drive, which identified our three main drivers as human beings, the three main things that motivate us are purpose, that we are striving towards goals that are larger than just ourselves. So we want a better world for more people than just ourselves. And also autonomy, that we have control over our everyday actions, behaviors, thoughts. But the third driver is mastery, that we want to get better. We want to get better. We want to progress. And certainly progression in life indicates growth. And it's when we are growing, I feel like that we feel our most alive, that we are really taking advantage of this gift of life, that we're not just standing still. We are seeking to better ourselves in whatever endeavor resonates with us at that particular moment in time. And so my thoughts around goal setting is that it is an alternative to the here and now. It is a better alternative than the here and now. It's not saying that the here and now is wrong or bad or backward or stagnant at all. It's just saying, in order for me to grow, in order for me to get better, in order for me to feel that sense of accomplishment in my life, I need to aspire towards something that's bigger than me right now. I need to set the thermostat up. And so that's what my Goals Achievement Workshop is all about. If this is all resonating strongly with you, if you're thinking to yourself, man, I would love to be able to set goals and actually achieve them, or go some way to achieving them, then this workshop might just be for you. So I want to step you through the process of creating a plan to achieve your goals, and then I'll tell you a little bit about how the workshop can help you on that path if that is something that you think you would enjoy and get value from. With any dental team that I work with, I move through the same goals achievement plan process as a bit of a structure, and this structure is just answering a series of very simple questions. These questions came from my mentor, Sandy Roth. She was a magnificent communications behavioural expert, came from America, worked with dental teams. Her husband was a dentist. She had a history of psychology, and she was a policewoman. But she developed 5 very powerful questions, and I've just added on a 6th at the end. And it's the answers to these 6 questions that will provide you a plan to achieve any identified goal that you have. I would get a pad and pen ready for myself right now so you can note down what these questions are. A really good way of doing it, if they are going to be dental practice goals, is to get your whole dental team together and have the answers of these questions developed as a group. It's a tremendous way of motivating everybody and getting everyone behind that larger purpose when they are actually involved in the decision-making process of what the plan's going to be. And indeed, the answers to the questions work beautifully well with personal goals. And the Goals Achievement Workshop that's coming up on the 10th of December, that is the achievement of either dental practice goals or personal goals. We cover both in that workshop, so whatever space that you're in, you will gain enormous value from it. Okay, so what are these 6 magical questions? Question number 1 is, where have we been? Now, sometimes that's more relevant than other times. I have worked with teams, for example, that have been around for decades and decades. They've had a couple of generations owning the practice, and the staff have really remained pretty loyal and stable. So it's a less pertinent question to them. But I've worked with other teams where there's been a breakdown of partnership and a lot of upheaval, a lot of tension, and so where they've been is quite pertinent to creating the plan moving forward. And also in personal lives, if our life, our family situation, our relationships, our career, our workplaces, if that's remained pretty stable over the past number of years, that question of where have we been will be less pertinent than someone that, for example, like what I did back in 2013. I had a marriage breakdown, had to sell the dental practice that I owned at the time. So I moved, changed careers as well. I stopped being a practice owner. I started on this journey of becoming a practice consultant. And so that's when the question of where have we been becomes far more relevant to creating that plan moving forward. So that's the first question. Where have we been? The second question is, where are we right now? So what's in front of us right now? And that's kind of getting a bit of a baseline as well. If it was a dental practice goal, for example, and the kind of answers that you could generate if you were just looking for general turnover improvement. So you're going to be establishing a whole series of strategies to reach that goal of higher turnover that impact upon that. So maybe the where we are right now in that unique situation could be getting a baseline of how much downtime do we have in the appointment book right now? What is our current turnover? How many new patients do we generate every month? What is our patient retention rate like? What about our case acceptance rate, our treatment acceptance rate? What is that like? Where's our baseline? Where are we right now? For a personal goal, the where are we right now could be, I'm at this point in my career where I want to be up there. Another one could be, I am this level of fitness or this particular weight right now, but I actually want something different in the future. So where are we right now? That is the second question to answer. The third question to answer is the goal. Where do we want to be? Personal goals, what do I want my level of fitness to be? Where do I want my career to go? What kind of relationships do I want? Where do we want to be? Where are we going? And for a dental practice, where we want to be, this level of turnover, this level of new patient generation, this level of treatment plan acceptance rate. So that's the third question. Where do we want to go? The fourth question is starting to get this plan happening. How are we going to get there? How are we going to get there? How are we going to bridge the gap from where we are right now, this baseline now, to where we aspire to be, where we want to be, our goal? How are we going to bridge that gap? And the bridging of the gap is about identifying different strategies that will allow you to achieve that goal, then the tasks that are required to activate that strategy, and then who's going to be performing those tasks and by when, so we can activate that strategy. These are identifying a few of the steps that we do get wrong, that we do miss out on, that we do neglect, and that's where our goals achievement journey often ends. So an example of that in a dental practice situation could be we're going to increase the treatment acceptance rate in our practice. One of the strategies we could use is spend more time explaining to patients what their condition is, what their treatment options are, and giving them more time and engagement in that process. That's one of our strategies. Another strategy could be we're going to get an external person to come in and train all of our team members in systems that work, that they've seen work in other practices that we want to adopt in this practice. Another strategy could be we're going to identify all the barriers to people actually booking in treatment, and we're going to manage all of those areas to make sure that that's less of an issue. And then, of course, we've got the action steps that bolster that strategy, that activate that strategy. What specifically do we need to do? What actions do we need to take in order for that strategy to be rolled through? Delegate them to somebody who's going to be doing it? Put a due date on it. When is it going to be done by? A personal goal perspective could be, if it's a level of fitness, one of the strategies that I could adopt in order to get fitter, to achieve my fitness goal, is to join a gym. Another one could be to get a personal trainer. Another one could be I'm going to start a walking group or join a walking group and have other people that I'm accountable to help me on that journey. There are 3 strategies I could use. And then what are the action steps? To join a gym, I have to research the gyms and the prices and their location and their opening hours and level of support that they provide and choose the gym that I actually want, etc. And I'm going to do that myself, and I'm going to do it by this specific date to make sure that I gain some kind of momentum straight away. And so that's the 4th question. How are we going to get there involves multiple steps. And when we move through the goals achievement workshop, I've got worksheets for all of these things, and so it really does help provide the support you need to get all of that information down on paper. The 5th question is, what role will each one of us play in getting to that goal? Very relevant question when we're talking about teams or when there is more than one person involved in those goals achievement. And again, something that's often missed, that we are very clear about the goal. We're very clear about why we're trying to achieve the goal. We're very clear about the plan, but no one person acknowledges the level of responsibility that they may personally hold that are required to activate these strategies that will then make sure the plan is on track to achieve our goals. So what role will each one of your team members play in better engaging with the patient in terms of explaining the conditions to the patients that they have, their treatments that will help solve those conditions? What's the dental assistant going to do? What's the receptionist going to do? Is there going to be a patient coordinator? How much of it's all on the dentist's shoulders, the practitioner's shoulders? In our personal goals, sometimes our personal goals are just about us. And so what role will each one of us play in getting there is about us identifying the commitment we need to have personally, because it's all on our shoulders in order to get this plan actioned. Sometimes there could be a role of other people in your world too. If it's a career change, maybe you need some particular kind of support from your spouse, from your partner, in order to do that. And the final question, the one that I've added in at the end there as a 6th question, is, and how are we going to make sure we're getting there? How are we going to make sure we're achieving those goals? And this ends up just being identifying the key performance indicator or indicators that are going to provide you with the data you need to be able to look at to say, yes, when I drew a line in the sand and I established goals from that point, that was the old identity, this is the new identity, that was my old life, this is my new life, that were my old behaviours, these are my new behaviours, that I'm actually getting the results that I want. I'm actually getting progress. And this is why I've repeated a couple of times during this episode that whether you achieve your goal or part thereof, whether you just get progress towards your goal, remember, progress equals happiness. Progress equals growth. Progress of any kind is great. So if you don't achieve your actual goal, but you are actually achieving more than what you had in the past, that is success. So never berate yourself if you're not achieving the specific goal that you actually identified. You just want to get better. You just want to achieve better results. And so if you're achieving better results, that is wildly successful. And that's where we can start to really shift our identity about ourselves, that we are no longer the kind of person that just sets goals and forgets them and dumps them and leaves them, but we are the kind that sets goals and we get somewhere. We can start to rely upon ourselves, that we have got what it takes inside of us to aspire for something better and actually get some way towards that better. And we can start to trust in ourselves to do that, which is a wonderful thing. So just to quickly recap those 6 questions. Where have we been? Where are we now? Where are we going? How are we going to get there? What role will each one of us play in getting there? And how are we going to make sure we're getting there? Powerful 6 questions. The answer to those 6 questions will create your plan. How detailed that plan is and how to structure that plan, that's all going to be answered in the Goals Achievement Workshop. So now the details of the workshop itself. What the workshop looks like. It's online. It's conducted on Zoom. You can remain anonymous. I'm going to do it in webinar format so people can remain anonymous, but you can still participate, ask questions, gain clarity, etc. It's going to go for 3 hours, and we are online for that whole 3-hour period. So I've scheduled it for a Saturday, hoping that that will allow you the time in your schedules to be able to turn up and do this powerful 3-hour session. What we're going to be achieving through those 3 hours are, we're going to identify the goals that will help you achieve your level of success, whether that's personal, in your dental practice, or both. We are then going to create a step-by-step plan to get daily progress towards your goals. So you can see on a daily routine that you are achieving success, that you are achieving progress. And your happiness that's linked to that progress will keep you motivated. So this daily support you're going to provide for yourself is going to help you maintain your momentum and not just drop the plan, but continue on with it. We are going to identify how we're going to track results in your unique plan so you can modify your plan as you go. If strategy 1's not working, how do we modify it? If it's still not working, we're going to then flip to strategy number 2. We're also going to identify what normally does stop us from achieving our goals, and a lot of this is mindset stuff. And so I'm going to be providing you with a whole bunch of different tips and techniques that's going to help you overcome the mental stuff that stops us from achieving our goals. I've also got a bunch of productivity and time management hacks that are going to transform the way you move through the operations of your day. And again, it's going to be where you are not feeling put upon, overwhelmed by the number of things you have to get done, and now I've got to get this goals achievement plan incorporated into it as well. Crikey, I've got no time for all this stuff. My productivity and time management hacks are going to get around all of that. And I've got a bunch of additional tips just on how to stay on track. The way we're going to move through the 3 hours is going to be a combination of me providing you with the content and the downloads. There's a bunch of downloads for you to use in creating your plan. And there's going to be time where we turn our videos and mics off while we get the next step of our plan organised down on paper. We then come back together again, do it the next section, close our mics and video off again, and then we are busy creating the next phase of our plan, getting it all down on paper or on keyboard. You can write it out with these downloads. You can either print off the download and write it out with your hand, or you can just do it all within the download on your computer screen. A recording of the workshop is absolutely going to be available for everybody afterwards. However, there is a lot of value in turning up live. There's a lot of value in turning up live because when it's a recording, you can watch it anytime, you can watch snippets here, there and everywhere, and it won't be as impactful or as engaging. But then when you turn up live, and we start minute 1, and then by the time we've moved through the 3 hours, you've got everything that you need to start achieving your goals. And you've done the biggest, most important step, which is creating that plan to start off with, identifying the goals that you want for the coming year, for the 2023, and then you've created the plan to actually get there and achieve them. There was a study done in the USA to find out about the probability of completing a goal, achieving a goal. And if you have an actual goal established, then you've got a 10% chance of completing that goal and achieving that goal. If you then consciously decide, no, I'm going to achieve this goal, I've got commitment to achieve this goal, your chances of achieving that goal go up to 25%. If you put a timeline on it, this is when I'm going to be doing it, this is my time period of achieving this goal, your chances of achieving that goal boost right up to 40%. If you then create a plan of how to achieve that goal, you are further increasing your chances of achieving that goal, and you go up to 50% chance of achieving the goal. If you involve other people and you make a commitment to other people, I'm doing this by this date and this is my plan, then you've got an even stronger chance of achieving your goal, of achieving success. It goes up to 65%. If you then have a specific accountability appointment with a person that you've committed to for a personal goal, it could be your personal trainer, it could be a buddy who you're losing weight with, it could be your spouse when you're trying to reach relationship goals. In a dental practice situation, it could be when you gather with your team every single month. You bring along your key performance indicators and your plan, and you make sure as a group that you're achieving the level of success that you want to achieve. Your chances of succeeding in your goals achievement goes up to a whopping 95%. 95%. And that's why after the Goals Achievement Workshop, there is an offering to regather every month with me as your accountability appointment, your accountability partner, to make sure that we remain on track, that we remain motivated. So whether you have got goals for yourself personally or you've got goals for your dental practice, you could have goals in both areas. This Goals Achievement Workshop, 3 hours, Saturday, 10th of December, from a Melbourne time perspective, it's from 9 to 12, is going to be a very powerful step forward. It is going to be the day that you draw a line in the sand and you say, 2023 is going to be different for me. 2023 is going to be different for our dental practice. 2023 is where we actually start shifting the identity that we have about ourselves. We no longer just create goals and then drop them. We create goals, we create plans, we take action, and we achieve progress. Whether we achieve our goal or not is not the goal. What we want to do is achieve progress. So I encourage you, go to the show notes, jump on the link to join us with the Goals Achievement Workshop. Go to my website, julieparkerpracticesuccess.com or .com.au. You will see there how to join the Goals Achievement Workshop. I would love to see you there. If you have any questions, contact me anytime. My contact details are in the show notes. But I will leave you with one quotation. Many of you will be familiar with it. It's always stuck in my mind ever since I first heard it when I was in my late teens. Marianne Williamson, her lovely quote, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us. The financial price is just $49. The time price is 3 hours. The value is all up to you. The value is your different experience of life in the coming year, squarely on your shoulders. So join me so I can help you and support you through that journey. Speak to you next time. Bye-bye. If you enjoyed today's podcast, then you should come along and join the club. The club is a whole library of lunch and learns, with new lunch and learns being produced all the time that help your dental team gain greater success in your systems, in your team behaviours, in your patient management, in your patient engagement, in their treatment plans. They are usually around half an hour in length, and so team members can sit down, be paid for their lunch break, eat lunch while they're being inspired, and delivered all of these insights and strategies that can be implemented so you all achieve greater levels of success. Also, Amina and I, my buddy from Dental Management Expertise, have a company, Dental Business Mastery, together, and our flagship online 1-year course for dental practice managers and dental practice owners to learn how to very successfully manage your dental practice is available. Head over to dentalbusinessmastery.com.au to find out more information. Also, make sure you do jump onto my website, julieparkerpracticesuccess.com.au, and you will see a whole load of free information. There are articles, the blog, downloads, templates, a whole load of things that are designed to help you overcome any specific challenge that you've got going on in your practice at the moment. If you have any suggestions of topics or guests that I can have on the podcast, please let me know. Thanks for listening.